Hi everyone, in this lesson I'm going to dissect page numbering for you in your book. So we have our first section here, and you'll notice that we have specific page numbering going on in that it doesn't start from 1 and go to 5. We're actually using lowercase Roman numerals here for that, and that's pretty common in the first section of your book before you get right into the chapters. You may have your table of contents here, you may have a foreword or a preface of some kind. That's what this section is for our first section. And then you'll notice that we have a second chapter in here when our first chapter starts. So by double clicking that, I can open that up and you can see that it's set up very much the same way. It's just a blank template, but this is where our first chapter is going to start. And you'll notice that the numbering is different here. We have 1 through 6 on this one, but then we have 1 through 10 for our chapter. And this is very common for how books are laid out. So how do you designate these chapters, and how do you have consistent numbering throughout all of the chapters of your book if you're working across multiple InDesign files? So I'll show you how to set that up. So we're going to start with our first section here. Now you can again let this know how many pages you have in this first section, how you want to number it, etc. So all you have to do is work in your first InDesign document here and go to numbering and section options. So you have some options here. You're going to start your section. We have set it to automatic page numbering, and then we have selected our style, how we want our pages to be styled and numbered here in this first section. And then you can also set your document chapter numbering too, but that's not relevant in this particular first section. We do not have chapters. So the next step then is to set numbering for your chapters. So by opening up our template that's ready to go for the first chapter, we have it set to start on page 1 and go through 10, which is what would happen. Now, because we're not really on page 1 of our book, that's okay. You have 6 pages here, so technically your chapter starts on page 7 of your book, but you're not actually going to label it as such. So again, you would go to your numbering and section. This time we are not starting our page at the start of the section, because if we did that and we set automatic page numbering, that's where 7 comes in. So if you have automatic page numbering on your first chapter, it's going to pick up where you left off in this first InDesign file, which was page 6. So automatically our next page would be 7. So we need to override that option. And that's what we did here under numbering and section. We said that we want to start our page numbering on page 1. And then we have decided to start using real numbers here and count up from there. And then you hit OK, and now we have pages 1 through 10 is part of our first chapter. And as you create more documents to fill in your chapters, the same would apply. So as you create more and more pages, that automatic numbering is going to come into play, and you have complete control over how this actually works in your numbering. Now, as you work across your documents, you want to make sure that you're syncing up everything and everything is synchronized. So if you ever change your updating to any of your documents, you can come here and select update page and section numbers, or your chapters and paragraphs, or everything, and it will update that across all of your documents in your book if you make any big changes. And then you also want to come here to your synchronize options and just make sure the right things are checked. Now we have most of this is going to be checked, and I'm going to check master pages as well. So in the previous lesson, we talked about setting up master pages, but we want to make sure that that is checked. So everything that's happening on our master page here is also translated across to our pages here. And we are going to synchronize all of our documents. Completed successfully, documents have been changed. So because we selected that we wanted to synchronize our master pages and it was not actually synced up, now you'll notice that it in fact is. So now we have our footer information down here with our page numbering, and it is counting upwards exactly the way we want to. all the way to the final page of our chapter. And now our master pages are synced up across and our page numbers are coming across as well. So as we continue to add new documents to our book, the same will come across. And if you ever notice that you're having synchronization issues, just come in here and make sure that you synchronize all of your selected documents. If you have more than one in here, you would just select them all and just go ahead and synchronize your book here, update all of your numbering, and you should see those changes reflect across. So now that you've had a look at page numbering and how to synchronize all of your settings across your book, we're going to move on to setting our paragraph styles, another element that's going to save you a lot of time and duplication efforts when creating your book.